Okay, so here is the jacket which we will be refashioning or upcycling. We will be using an African print.
Here are some of the old fabric pieces which I've got from previous sewing, so I will be using this to go with the jeans jacket. So come on and let's get sewed.
Right, the first stage is for you to decide on which fabric scrap you would be using and also where exactly you want to put them.
Right, so we're going to start with the pockets because we will be adding some African print over here. So using your seam ripper, just gently, just like that, and begin to unpick them. So you have to be very careful so you don't end up ripping this up. Okay, so find a tiny stitch in there. You can do a little at a time so you don't end up ripping it. There we go. So just like that, and that's it. Okay, so going like that. There we go. Try not to pull it as well because this is jeans. If you pull it, you're going to put marks on your jeans, so try not to pull it. Just go gently on it. Unlike some fabric, you might be able to pull from here, but if you pull, and this is a stretchy jeans, if you pull from here, you end up having your white marks coming up on your jeans fabric. So because it's a stretchy one, I would advise not to pull, depending on whatever jeans you're using. But just gently pull this out because you don't want to top stitch on top of it while it's still there, otherwise you're going to seal up the there where your pocket needs, your hand needs to go in from. So there we go. So we'll carry on until we get to the end. Right, so there we go. Look at that. I've got this off. I've got a bit of I just realized it's got a bit of crack. I don't know how comes, but like I said, it's an old jeans, so I'm going to stitch this on its part before adding the African print. But there we go, you can see some mark. It's got some marks there and there as well. So I'll usually advise when we do upcycling work like that, just get any clean brush and use it to dust this off. So use it like just like that to sweep it off. You can see it's taking it off, and that's how you do it. And then you carry on. You're doing this just in case if any mark comes out when you finish, it doesn't look dirty. Look at that. And it comes out all looking clean. Yeah, and then you carry on going all the way to all the corners, the string as well. Just pull all the thread, make it look as neat as you can before you start your stitching. So that's a normal toothbrush I'm using in here. So basically just like that, even a tiny little bit, just go back and forth very well. And there we go. So carry on till the end and do the same for this other one as well, that one as well. Use your brush, go on it and take it off completely. So the next stage will be when you've cleaned it up completely, just like that. The next stage will be to take the measurement of this fabric. Take your measurement from here, the length and the width. When you've got the length and the width, then you would want to take that measurement and see what you can join together. If you've got big ones, fine. If you've not got big ones, just join what you have and use it to get the same measurement with this one, and then add about 1 centimeter on the sides. Okay, when you join them, add 1 centimeter, and that will be what you'll be using to go around the edges, but I'll show you as we go on. So it's not going to be exactly when you've gotten this measurement, add 1 centimeter on each side, including where your hand goes through as well. So let's get sewing. Even the string on top of the pocket as well, you can use this just like that to get rid of them. This is already off, so all you need to do is just use your pin and then use your hand to just pull them out. Look at that, and then pull, going all the way right round, just get them off. Okay, so I've got a few pieces which are a little bit sizable. Okay, so for the pocket I might not necessarily need to be joining it. So I've got that one. This is not really enough. Meanwhile, there are 2 ways of joining this pocket. One of it, you can sew on the wrong side. If you sew on the wrong side like that, and then you flip it afterwards, so you got the wrong side of the pocket, and then you got the right side of this pocket. Okay, here's the right side and here's the wrong side. So if you join them together like that, and then you sew, when you finish sewing, then you flip it to the other side, whereby you have this one sitting like that, so the right side comes there. Okay, Alternatively, the easier one, especially for beginners, that's what I'm doing, so it's easier for beginners. It's just for you to use the wrong side of the main fabric, which is that one. That's the wrong side there. Just place it on top. You don't need to flip it, but in that case you will try and tucking this in properly. So I've started by using my clip, so just use your clip and go right around it just like that. Put it there, get your clip, ensure it is aligning really well, so flat around the lines, and just clip it and just keep going. So with this is easier, so you don't need to sew and flip to the other side. It might be a bit confusing for beginners, but this one is a very simple one. So for the corners, be mindful of the corners because the corners were a bit curved, so I'm thinking of giving it an entirely different look. So I will be giving a different one, which is more or less like a V, a triangular edges. So that's what I'll be doing on this one. So just clip them all together. Remember, most importantly, you have to make it go flat on it, just like what you're seeing in here. Otherwise you're going to have a bump, so you don't want the bump. Put another clip and then carry on going all the way right round, all the way. It's a management one I'm doing in here, but I will be able to use it. So just put it that way, clip it, okay, put it that way, and then put the clip on it all the way to the top. And when you get to the top, you're going to do the same as well because you want it to look neat. So for the top, this is what we're doing for the top. You see that you have a little bit going inside, and then put your clip there as well. So once you've done it right round, then you can stitch on its own before attaching it to the main fabric, that's the jeans. So you stitch this once you've done it, but I'm still going to complete it off camera. Okay, thanks. Right, so there we go. Then to do the corners, the corner is a bit tricky. So when you fold it going all the way like that, right, and I've mentioned I'm going to use a V shape for mine. So fold this other one again. Can you see that? A double one there, and then at the bottom one. So I'm trying to fold this like a V, and that's it. So use your clip as well, just like what we've done in the on this other side. Use your clip to hold it as well, just like that one. So that's it. So you just carry on and then get all the way to this place, get all the way to that one, and then you can stitch this together before you place it there. Right, so there we go. And there. So we're just going to sew from here. But before you can do this, it's simply because it's tiny. So before you can do this, ensure your bobbin thread is exact color that you would want to appear on the top. Otherwise you need to change it. I've just changed mine. Initially I would have ignored it because it doesn't really matter, but because it's going to appear on the front, I just had to change it to the dark blue one, which is what I'm using in here as well. Okay, so you just try and ensure you're squeezing it really well, just around. Okay, and then take off your clip, ensure you're putting it quite good. And then around this corner you have to be cautious what you're doing there. Okay, there you go, just like that. And that's it. So just carry on till we get to the end of it. Right, so there we go. This is all sorted. The next thing is just to iron it out. That's what it looked like. Remember, I was just managing the fabric, but if you have enough fabric, remember I earlier mentioned leave about 1 centimeter, but that's it all done in here. And when I'm gonna sew it, when I'm putting it on the main fabric, the old jacket, I will try and align it with the line correctly. Okay, so I will sew it in such a way that this doesn't in any way show. But after this bit, now repeat the same what we've done for this one, repeat it for the second pocket, which is that one. When we repeat it, then we'll begin to place them, and then we'll do the sleeves and the collar, and our upcycle jacket is all done. All right, so here is how we get to put it back onto. Everything is all been done in here. Just get it and try and align it with the marks which you're seeing there. So even though we've used the brush to clean it up, but try and stay very close to this and that one, and then you can use your pin to just pin it down and then we sew. Remember, we sew like that, and then do your double stitching in there and back and forth stitching in there. Well, remember, you're not sewing here, so that's why we've all completed this. So just get it. So there we go. I'm beginning to attach it to fall in with the line. Look at the previous line. You just attach it just like that, and you sew. So I've done double stitching. Actually, I did mention about the first stitching, and I've done the second stitching off camera just because I wanted it to stay firm. Okay, so I'm just going more or less on the first stitching in there. So the pockets are both sorted now. The next thing which we need to do is to get fabric. I'm gonna do a little bit of it on the sleeves, so about 2 to 3 inches depending on how much fabric I could get. Remember, it's all about upcycling. And then I'm going to use the print as well around the collar and the neck, just around there. So for the sleeves, I will be taking the measurements using them pieces. Let's see what we can get here. If we don't have enough, remember, you can always join, okay, because it's all about zero waste to any of our textiles. So zero textile waste. So on the sleeve, I found this one. I could use part of this one. Here we go, that one. Okay, and I'm going to sew it around this place. So to do the sleeve, if you want to, you can take off the stitch gently. It's going to be a bit tricky because remember, it's got its lining, which the both of them, they've not been done together. So otherwise, you can just take your measurement about 3 inches and put an extra about 1 inch for seam allowance and hem allowance. Okay, so we're going to fold it and take it all the way right in, so it should be coming across from here, not just there, so it looks neat. So it's going to come across from here. Or if you can open up this, but if you can't open it up, don't worry. All you need to do first for this one, do the hem. So we're going to get this to the machine, do the hem so it comes out neat. So when you fold it like that, just sew all the way right around, and then that corner is what you're going to align with this, so it comes out looking neat, and then fold it across. So for this other side as well, both sides, we're going to hem both sides, that one and that one, before we try and place it nicely. We might have to open this up, or we can nicely stitch it in together and it wouldn't show. So come on then, and let's get started. Right, so there we go. I've got my measuring tape, and this piece width wise across, I've got about 4 inches, okay, which is a perfect one for me anyway. And then I will be sewing it just like that, and so run all the way right round, and then on this corner as well, all the way right round. Okay, so afterwards I'll then we need to get the measurement for those beads as well. So from here to here, and remember, you need to put some extra for your seam allowance. There we go, going all the way right round up until what we've got here is 4 inches. We've got about 10.5 inch. Now remember, we need to put some allowance as well. So instead of using that 10.5, I'm going to cut it for 12. So for this bead, I will be cutting lengthwise, is going to be 12 inches, okay, because we need to put the allowance when we are sewing. So we're going to use 12 and then cut it from here, or make it 12.5 just to be on the safe side, and then hem this corner right round on the machine on this one. So we've got the 2-piece, which is what you're seeing in there. So for this 2-piece, I'm just gonna start by, remember, it's in the wrong side. You're gonna fold it towards the wrong side, okay? That's for beginners, just so we don't make that mistake. Just a tiny, about 0.5 centimeter, so all the fabric is not all gone. But if you have enough fabric, you can cut 5 inches, and depending on how wide you want the design around the wrist to look like. But this is the fold which I'll be taking in. Okay, so take this to your machine, and then we sew. Sit down, so just about 0.5 centimeter, so we don't waste all. There we go, and then we're carrying all the way right round, actually on the 2 there we go. There we we can iron it. Yeah. So I'm gonna do one of these and this other one, but the other end I might be leaving it because I'll likely be using this other folded end to overlap on it. If you've got it so thick, you might struggle with it, but let's see how it goes. And that's how you do the corners as well, just to get it very neat, to look really nice. Let's go in like that, about ½ centimeter. And this corner, same thing, just like that. So you can see what I'm doing in here. Hold that bit. You see me? I'm covering it with my finger. There we go. So basically this is it, and then we're now, so here we've got this one all nicely done, and I'm just going to wrap it right round. Remember, to get it really nice, you need to fold this in like that. I did mention that, fold it like that, and then you can use your pin to pin it down, going all the way right round. And this end, remember I did mention I'm not going to sew, so we don't have it looking very thick in there, so I'm just going to nicely put this in. It wouldn't show, and I will be stitching it all like that and fold this one inside, but try and get this line to align with this bit. So because you don't want to have double lines, I'm going to move this a little bit further, so this one will sit around here, and move this there. Mind you, alternatively you can unpick this as well, but I'm just showing a very quick one for beginners, so you might not necessarily unpick it. As long as you make it very neat, no one is going to notice it. So basically I'm trying to get this line to align with this line. So once they've all aligned, then we fold this one inside as well. We need a proper fold, and then we pin it down, and that's it. Then you can now sew, and sew. Right, so this is one alternative to sewing the sleeve. You can see how I've nicely folded it in, and I can just easily stitch going right round and stitch this one, ensuring that ear comes up and align with this line. This is one alternative. The second alternative, you can as well put it all the way up, and I'm looking for a very simple one for the beginners, so you can just put this up and have this as another design on its own, but you will leave about 1 centimeter from the edge, and you align it as well. Remember, this rough corner sits in, okay? And when you're putting in, obviously for the sleeves, it's not all equal, so you have to be conscious of where it needs to have like a triangular shape, so it needs to go folded there and here. But also remember, to make it neater, your stitching should go with this line, not just on its own. So your second alternative is having it sitting like this, which is another one. I might be using this one. So but those are two ways you can put a design on your sleeve. Okay, so here we go, the two options. This one, I've got this bit going all the way in there. Pin it down, look at that. While this other one, you can have it stay in there. So those are two options. I've left about 1 centimeter from the edge, or about 1.5 centimeter from the edge. But if you're going to use this, ensure they're all equal and pin it down. But I think I made up my mind, I'd rather go for this one. I like this one. It's a bit more trickier, It's a bit more trickier if you want to use this, but for beginners this might be an easier option for you. Just run on it, and then at the edge you can see I've also tried to align this with this, so at the edge just so there. This one might be trickier, but I will be using this one. So I've pinned it down, and just to show you how you pin it down, all you need to do, you begin with this one. I've left this flat, I mentioned that earlier on, and then have about 1 inch, I will say, for this one, and fold it like that. Try and make it stop in there. You can see it there. There we go, just like that. So whatever you've used on the other one is what is advisable to use on this one, and then we'll pin it down. That's the first bit. Pin it down. So and you want to have it looking all neat, isn't it? Right, so there we go. Okay, just fold it like that. That's the inner bit. Fold it a little bit, trying to get it to get to that end. Once you've got that bit, fold it and ensure it aligns flat with this one as well, and you tidy up here. There we go. You pin it down again. Okay, so the last bit, remember I did mention you need to get this to align with this corner, and you don't have to, even though it's upcycled, you need it to look very neat. So I wouldn't even leave this little centimeter popping out. I'll have to readjust it from here, so I have it, this one and this one being equal, and then also the joining line aligning with this one here. Okay, so basically these two should align together, and then the joining line as well should fall on same one with this. With that, you're having a clean neat work. So we're gonna sew like that, sew like that. I want to show you a third option, so a third alternative to adding a design on the sleeve of your already sewn cloth. Meanwhile, I keep repeating, you can also open up from here, but for beginners, to make it easier and simpler for them, you can, the first one was where you can start in there to there, the other one is where you can flip in, but this one we're going to use a smaller size because it's easier to get your stitches across when you've not opened that corner. So I've got about 2 inches in width, and the length it's about 12 inches. Okay, because in here I've got 10.5. So what I'm going to do is to get the right side of this fabric. This is the wrong side, so I'm going to use the right side of this fabric, and on this rough edge, on this rough corner, I am going to put this across like that. Okay, there we go. I've pinned them all down. This is the third option. Okay, and what I've done, I've used the right side of the fabric and I put it in there. So I'm going to sew right round around the edges, so when we've all done with the sewing, then you can flip it to the other side where you have this stain, and then you iron it all out. Okay, meanwhile for this corner where both of them join together, that's where I'm going to start with here. And remember, when you're trying to sew this two, that's the two edges, when you're sewing them together, do not sew them exactly straight on. Make it a little bit slanted, because our sleeves is not all the way straight. It's got a slimmer armhole, so we're gonna go like that, so that place the wider part can go around the top bit while the slimmer bit stays there, if you get what I mean. Okay, so I'm gonna join these two together before I'll sew right round on the edges. So come on, let's get sewing. So this is it, so I'm just going to trim it and then sew right round around the corner. Right, so basically get this, that's it there, join them together. When you've joined it together on the right sides together, taking the measurement of the edge, so use your measuring tape and measure right round there. So what you've got, use it and get your measurement on there, and then stitch going like that, kind of like a V shape. Like it shouldn't go all the way straight, it should go that way. So once you've done it, trim it a little bit and align it in here in the arm and the sleeves bit. So what I'm trying to show you here, this line, okay, try and ensure this line aligns with this line. but it should be this side facing this way, because after the sewing we're going to flip it to this side where it comes to the front. And there we go, just right around the edges, align it just to be on the edge, just like that, and then straighten it over. There we go. So we'll just carry on like that. Right, so there we go. Once again, I've got this measured out as 5.5 times 2, that's 11, and that's for around the wrist, which is the measurement for the end of the sleeve. Okay, so now I've joined this bit, so the next thing I'll need to do is just to get this up and align it with this one. So you just have to hold it this way. So do remember, you need to turn it at this stage, okay, because you need to turn it facing this way, to the right side out. And when you've done that bit and sew it to the sleeve, that's when you can now turn it all the way up. Right, so remember, like I said, after joining them two together, which is what you're seeing in here, then you need to flip it inside out. Okay, so flip it inside out just like that, and then get this corner, this edge, and align it with that corner. So now you're using right side to go with this, and this corner, that's for, remember we're talking about the third option now. So this two align together, and then it goes like that. You can use your clip to hold it. There we go. So this is the right side, because by the time you sew this edge and then you turn it inside out, then you see what I am talking about. So just use your clip to hold it. There we go, and then you go right round. So this is the reason why you need to get the accurate measurement of this circle, so when you put it together they will align with each other. If you've not got the measurement, it might be a bit tricky. So you can see that. So we're just going to sew it now, and then once we're all, you can see it's still aligning there. Once we're done, meanwhile for this middle bit, try and open it up just like that, so you have something very smooth. You don't want a rough edge. So you can see I've opened them too, and then we're just going to begin our sewing just like that. So there we go, just ensuring that both still align with each other. And then we start our sewing, and I'm actually sewing right around the corner because I don't want it to go just get on your clip, and then this is what we just do, and then go all the way right around. I think this is one of the easiest. It is one of the easiest methods. So for beginners, you might want to consider this one. Those are the ones that are still easier. The more professional work, you might need to lose the sleeves, but this is one of the easier ones as well. You can see that, and I should have put aligning both the fabric and the main. There we go. Okay, so there we go. After all the sewing, the next thing we want to do is to flip it out. Remember, we did sew the right side, so now to flip it out, this is all we need to do. Apologies, my camera is wobbly, but just flip it that way, and then we are done with the sleeve attachment. And there you go, and then you can iron it all out. You can see that, and it has a neat finishing basically. Because the one disadvantage with the first and second method, the disadvantage is that when you use that one, you end up stitching around this place and it will show the marks. So if you don't want the marks to show, all you need to do is, so you can see the difference. With this one, you don't need to stitch around this edge. But if we use the first and second method, you'll be seeing the stitches up here and there as well. So I've used this one so that we don't need to have an extra stitch. So this is what it looks like on the inside. It looks neat as well, both on the inside and on the outside. So even though we're upcycling, we'll just have to try and do our best to ensure that our stitches are clean. So I'm just going to put a little iron on here to flatten it, but it is really flat on its own. So both arms have been done there, both sleeves have been done now, and the pockets done as well. Here's the pocket, both pockets. So now we just need to do the collar and the neck, or I might just do only the collar, so it's optional, it's just up to you. And I'm going to use same fabric as well, so take the measurement around there and we're going to do like a top stitching. Right, so to do this other last bit, I'm still using this fabric, and if you look closely, I've used the right side. So I'm going to use, basically on this corner, I'm going to use the right side of this main fabric and align it with here. So you're using your pin, you can pin it down. So I will open this up and sew it like this first bit, and then when you've sewn it, then you turn it inside out, so you've got the right side facing there. So we're going to use the right side and some bit of this, but remember you're going to open these up, so you're not sewing these two together, just opening that bit. So you start a little bit inside with the right side, so you pin it down. I'm just going to show you the pinning, what it looks like. Right, so there we go. This is the first bit. I'm going to do them in sections. Okay, so remember this is the front of it, and this is the wrong side of this fabric. The main fabric is what I've aligned. That is it there. So when I've stitched this place, you're going to open it and then hold this two together and stitch going all the way down, and then we open this bit and ta-da, then we have to align it going with the shape as well. Then we'll stitch this all in nicely to make it look nice. So there we go. So here we go for both sides. So we're going to sew around there just like that. Same on this one, you can see the pinning down, so I've just pinned it all the way down, and then by the time we do the sewing, we now flip it this way so you don't have rough stitches around here, and then we do the corners as well, so it forms like what we are looking for. Come on then, and let's get started. So here is it all done with the sewing. So the next thing is just to turn it now to the right side out, which is that way, and we're just going to use our pin to pin it down to get the shape back on. So using a pin, just pin it going all the way like that. Okay, so we've sewn the wrong side, and now we'll flip it to the right hand side. So I'm just going to use pin to pin it down. And there we go, just fold it, and that's the shape. Remember, just fold it around it, and then you pin it down. So we've used this method so you have a clean finishing. You don't have the stitch marks showing on this side. That's why we've used this method. Otherwise you can place it on top as well, but this is an easier and a more cleaner one. So going all the way like that as well, and then pin it down all the way to the end, and there we go for the first one. So we're just going to sew. Right, so here is how I've joined. Remember we did sew this one and flip it to the other side, and this place I've given it a rollable stitch, and I've used my pinking chairs to trim there, so just in case if it pops out, and that's how I've joined it to the back. And here I've done double stitch here just to give it like a design, and I'm doing a second one here, and that brings us to the end of the jacket. So here will be the final look. So there we go, just do the stitches like that. There we go. So here's the final look of the stitching. Look at that. I've joined that over here, and I actually changed the pattern on here. I've made it like a straight one rather than a slanting going that way. I wanted something a bit different, and that's it here, and that's the sleeve, the pockets as well. There we go. So the last one is just to give it some iron it really well, and our jeans African print jacket, it's ready. So There we go. So just give it some ironing. So let's go to be on the safe side.
Very good or good?
Yeah. Continue by ironing. So there we go. Just iron the whole out. Okay. And then iron the sleeves as well. And we iron on the side as well, so that it stands really firm. There we go. We'll iron the sleeves as well. And then remember to iron even that corner as well. And then flip it to the other side. I'm actually doing with the ironing, but just in case. There we go. So we got the pocket, we got that on, and we got the neck. And here is the final look of the. So using the buttonhole footer, you can change that from the normal one to the buttonhole footer. Put in new opening to cover for where we've done the stitches. So you can see I've made new buttonhole on top of the fabric, and that brings us to the end of it. Thank you.